Hey guys, before we start the video, I just want to apologize if my voice sounds very quiet in this video and if I sound like I'm sniffling a lot and stuff. I have been fighting a cold for like the last 2 weeks and I haven't had a fever or anything, so I've just been kind of fighting through it. So if I seem kind of tired and drowsy and sniffly and congested and all that, it's because I am literally fighting a cold. Testing. Hello, my sweeties. Welcome back to Monthly Positives, where we are going to have another round of positives. This month, I'm going to throw in some Reddit posts that I came across, though they were kind of difficult coming up because I forwarded them to my other email and then they didn't show, and then I had to go back to the other email and hunt them down, and anyway. That was annoying. Don't you hate when like you forward something to someone with an attachment and the attachment doesn't go with? I've also been having fun with copyrights, which has put me behind schedule. The copyright thing has started getting to the point of ridiculousness. I had 3 videos ready to go, and I don't mind when they're like, due to copyright stuff, you can't monetize this. Fine, I don't care. Upload it. But only one of my 3 videos got uploaded that was not privated, and YouTube turned the comments off on it. Whatever. So that's been fun, and I'm now having to re-edit the other 2 to try to deal with some of the copyright and take some things out, which kind of sucks. So that has put me behind schedule because now I'm having to go back. So instead of working on what I was thinking I'd be working on by this point to start uploading on my new project after January, instead I am behind on schedule due to copyright. So that's been fun. And I hope this isn't going to be a thing coming up this coming year. I also figured out why I was so red in my last video. It was my blush. Yeah. So I don't normally wear blush, but recently I've started wearing blush again. I stopped wearing blush kind of back in high school because it brought up the red in my skin. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am indigenously mixed, so I have a red hue to my skin. So if I put anything red on, whether it's lipstick, eyeshadow, blush, it brings out the red in my skin. Well, this last year, I've been re-embracing my indigenous identity and culture again, and not letting people get at me for being white passing. I'm not allowed to embrace my own heritage, which, yeah, I'm going to do it, and I have aunties and uncles who are supporting me in it, along with my family and friends. So, but I started wearing blush again these last few months. The thing is with blush, it brings out the red in my skin, even if it's a nice light pink blush. So it wasn't my lighting. It's not the fact that I don't have my LED lights. It's the fact of the blush. And I figured that out this morning while I was doing my makeup. And I put my blush on and went, oh! And I just didn't feel like redoing my makeup again because I already had to redo my eyeliner. So, yeah. That is why I'm red. So from here on out, we now know it is the blush. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started on the video.
That's the last rubber band I had.
This first post is going to be referring to a question that someone asked. What's the most intimate thing in a relationship that's not sexual? I read some of these already, which is why I thought I'd add this in, because some of these are really sweet. Coffee is my friend. Really? That's your username? Okay. Getting each other's sense of humor, and when you both start talking like each other because you pick up on each other's slang and way of speaking. That I can definitely cohere to. It's really kind of funny watching other people's relationships fold. I cannot say much. I've been single coming on almost 4 years, 3-4 years now. But I watch my best friend and her husband, for example. They've been together since high school, about 10 years now, 10, 11 years. And it's kind of funny because it's like you watch couples get into like these routines, and then you watch them like get into like these little clims and stuff. It's only them, and they have like this routine, and they have this like their own like inside jokes and personal humor, and I find that absolutely adorable. But then I also sit there and go, I'm single as fuck. Or when you both say the things at the same time or know exactly what the other is thinking before they say anything. Aww. Really understanding one another's emotional pain, whether it's due to minor disappointment or lifelong grief. There's nothing like being able to let go of all social pretense and just cry to someone. And my internet just went off and came back on. Lovely. We had a huge power outage where the entire town was out of power, except for those of us on the mesa. That was weird. Driving, like, the town is located in like a canyon, so it's already dark. And then here I am around midnight driving down to go check my mail, and it's just pitch black. There was no lights whatsoever except for my headlights and the headlights of a couple of the other vehicles driving through town. And it was pitch black, spooky as hell. And they had like no power the entire night until like later in the morning. But we had like no internet for 2 days, and then our internet came back on, and it's still kind of like fluctuating. So as long as it doesn't mess with recording my video, I don't care. My wife coming to my immunotherapy treatments. They take immunotherapy or biological therapy is the treatment of disease by activating or suppressing the immune system. Immunotherapies designed to elite or amplify an immune response are classified as activation immunotherapies, while immunotherapies that reduce or suppress are classified as suppressed immunotherapies.
Immunotherapy.
They take 6 to 7 hours. I'm hooked up to an IV and stuck in a chair. Once all the meds hit, I turn into a puzzled mess, and she tries to figure out if I am hungry, thirsty, or just trying to sleep. When it's over, she gently wakes me up and guides me to the car. I won't let anyone else see me like that. Aww. This person said that they are also a fellow
immunotherapy
patient here. When I was on chemotherapy, I was miserably sick for days on end every single week. Since chemo was weekly, roughly 3 to 4 nights per week, for over a year were spent on my bathroom floor. My husband laid on the bathroom floor with me every night, switching between holding my hair while I vomited to rocking me back and forth from the chills and shakes I had to rolling my tiny body, I'm 4'11", and barely 100 pounds, onto his giant body, he's 6 foot, and letting me lay on him like a giant pillow. The man was also an active duty in the military at the time, so life was rough for both of us. I bet. Wow, can you imagine going through your military training and having to support your wife who's going through chemotherapy? Following surgery, the oversized shirt I had worn still wasn't large, loose enough to fit over the cast on my limbs. My husband quite literally took the shirt off of his back and slid it over my head and onto my own body. Then he proceeded to walk up to the car half naked in the middle of winter to retrieve the car once I was discharged. Aww. Pre-pandemic, he often accompanied me to my chemotherapy infusions. My chemotherapy infusions have generally been more tolerable than chemotherapy, so during chemotherapy infusions, he often fed me my comfort food, guilty pleasure, sushi. Aww, I love sushi too. My arms were hooked up to tubes, so I couldn't feed myself. Cue pandemic, and now patients aren't allowed to have anyone come back with them. Aww, patients only. It sucks. That I know, like when I worked in life care, a lot of the clients I had, one of their biggest things was having someone like be there for them, not just pick them up and take them back from their appointments, but also like sit in the room with them. And a lot of them just don't have family and friends that can do that, and I can imagine how scary that is. I've gone to quite a few doctor appointments by myself because my choice was either having my mom babysit my kids for me or having her go with me and my kids. And sometimes I got lucky and got to have my best friend with me. But yeah, it's scary, and then a lot of times when you're getting bad news or you're just not certain what's going on. A few days before starting my first chemo session, my husband insisted on spending a day with my nurses and asked them to teach him how to prepare and administer my chemo, so I could be sick and miserable from the comfort of home instead of a stale hospital environment. This one's a little TMI. Several years ago, I had some sort of infection of the lady bits. Ooh, got pretty painful during a weekend, so we went to the ER. Male doctor, perfectly friendly doctor, starts examining me, pats the seat next to it, and invites my husband to potluck squat next to him. Now I have both a male doctor and my husband with their heads in between my legs. Seriously investigating my lady bits. At the time, question mark, mortified. Looking back at it 5+ years later, hysterical. Girl, I am laughing with you. My husband's story isn't perfect and comes with his own issues, but I'd say I picked a good one. Yeah, usually a kid. Oh. Okay, this is how I know my grandparents loved each other. My grandmother had a stroke in 1996 and couldn't walk or talk, and my grandfather did everything for her and took care of her until she passed away in 2016. Aww. You know how people, like especially girls, will say, I want to marry my dad someday? I've always wanted to marry my grandfather, specifically my mother's father. He was such a sweet and caring husband, took such good care of my grandmother. And then his parents, my great grandparents, I honestly idolize in some ways because, like, they weren't a perfect relationship. They dealt with a lot of hardships. When they got together, they were just really good friends. And my great grandfather was dealing with PTSD from the war and had trouble finding work again. And so she, like, took over and worked and took care of him. And then when they changed everything around because men couldn't find work after coming home from the war and forced women to go back into the house. They switched and she took care of the house and he took care of, the finances and stuff. And that was like their relationship. And they were always partners. They were always there for each other, supportive of each other. And then their son, who's my grandfather, was very similar in the way he took care of my grandmother. Though, sadly, my grandma never really appreciated it until her second husband, my step-grandfather. And she finally, appreciated how much my grandfather did for her. And it was quite sad, but at the same time, it's nice that she finally there at the end got to realize how much my grandfather took care of her. I mean, this was a man that if, he wanted some adult fun time, he would take the time, and if it was wintertime, he'd warm up the sheets. If it was summertime, he'd cool the sheets, so she would be comfortable during, that intimate time. And then also just the way he just took care of his kids and his grandkids and her. And I don't know, I always have idolized him and my great grandparents, his parents. When I picture a relationship, that's like the relationship I want is like theirs. Even though it was very simple things that they did for each other, that's always what I wanted. And instead, I've ended up with just narcissistic people. Anyway, back to the fun times. Oh my. Speaking of which, okay, so this one right here, I'll probably highlight for you guys. I should have been highlighting these. My wife was a physical therapist, a healer with hands-on contact with patients multiple times a day. She had a lot of younger female associates in the dating scene, and her matter-of-fact mother-hen advice to them was, if you can't see yourself wiping his ass for him, then you shouldn't be with him. She died 3 months ago of a magnetic malignant brain tumor. I was her primary caretaker for 18 months and was with her when she passed away. A few months into our relationship, I woke in the middle of the night with a really nasty GI illness. I locked myself in the bathroom all night, alternating between moaning on the floor and shitting my brains out. My then boyfriend, now husband, felt bad that I wouldn't let him tend to me in the bathroom, so he brought his pillow and blanket and slept on the floor in the other side of the door all night. Heart. I knew he was the keeper. Yeah, that sounds like a keeper to me, girl. While I was in labor with our youngest at the hospital, my water had broken, and it was like an insane amount of amniotic fluid, and my partner just casually changed my pad while I was lying on the bed in charge. And he's usually pretty squeamish, not down to talk about such things. It was very sweet and heartwarming. Aww, I bet. Or even just when they are having difficulty taking care of themselves temporarily. Seeing how someone reacts to you being sick and in pain absolutely shows their character. Yes, I second that. Like, for those of you who don't know, I live with chronic pain. I have 2 collapsed discs in my back, and I live with arthritis. So whether, like, today, I am in huge pain. Just making my bed is not just a struggle. It is like fighting my pain, my own body that just wants to curl up in a ball and just shudder in pain, or even just doing something like this is very difficult. And that's always something I think about when I think about dating again and stuff, is whoever I get with is going to have to deal with the fact that there are going to be some days I am going to struggle getting in and out of bed. I'm going to struggle going to work. I'm not even going to be able to be intimate. Like when I'm in serious, serious pain, I love to cuddle, but when I'm in pain, I don't even want to be touched. And so my partner is going to have to live with that. There's nothing I can do for it. There's not going to be any amount of painkillers or, shots or physical therapy or any of that to help get rid of that pain. I'm always going to have it. My pain is either going to be way up here or somewhere in the middle. I've never had a day that I am not in pain. And I have been experiencing this since the birth of my second son, and I was not which was in 2013, and I was not diagnosed until 2016. And there was nothing that could be done. Even the surgery was no guarantee of help. So this is me. Emotionally, just venting to each other or talking seriously about your future together. Physically, TBH, just a long hug is quite powerful. And that, yes, I have a lot of my good friends that, I've gotten really close with. They know I'm the type of person that they can just come up to me and just go, I need a hug, and I'll sit there and I'll just hold them, even when I'm in really bad pain. Because a lot of times just having that hug helps a lot. Honestly, it's not like we actively go around lying all day, but until you're in a relationship where you have truly honest conversations about even the most mundane things, you realize how much tactfulness goes into everyday interactions. In my opinion, it's extremely intimate to share your true, unafflicted thoughts. That is so true. Yes, the driving each other crazy at times. I'm an immensely lucky person. Not only can I fully unfilter, he knows when my mood disorder is getting bad, as opposed to a rough week. Thank you for 10 years of up, down, and all around, going to hell and back. Trevor, you're a good man. Aw. Yeah, that for sure too. Like, I see that with my best friend and her husband too. Like, there are times you can tell she's just like, oh, why did I marry this man? And I always pick on her because still, like, she gets mad at me because I'm always picking on her, like, you married him. But honestly, the relationship is so cute and sweet. When it's 3 a.m. and I can't sleep, but he somehow notices in his sleep and pulls me in his arms. He also pushes me out of bed 2 hours later to avoid my alarm clock waking him up all the way. I've had multiple times when my girlfriend has grabbed my booty in her sleep. Of course, she's held me and snuggled me, but the unconscious booty grab is what really shows me she loves me. Right? Or like when you're sleeping next to him and, like you get up in the middle of the night, go to a bathroom or something, and you come back and you see them like in their sleep just searching for you. That's just so sweet. I've never had this experience, but I've always heard of one. For me, one is when you're in a group of people and you're doing your own thing and she's doing hers, and momentarily your eyes look across the room and it makes you feel all warm inside. Aww. Just having little tidbits of information about them. Like, if I eat spicy food, I'll get hiccups for the first 5 bites, and then after they subside, I'll be able to eat the spicy food without any issues. This is so specific, but then knowing and showing that they know it is just so intimate. Yes, that is true. Like, I joked with one of my friends one time. I said, if I'm with someone and they don't notice like things like, say, the freckle on my toe or something, I don't know if I want to be with them. Like, I always like just try to like memorize things like that about you know, when I'm dating someone and they tell me something like that, I like, you know, take it and just put it in these little box for later or something. One day I was still mostly asleep and I heard my husband from the bathroom call my name in the unmistakable kind of desperate voice I'd never heard before. I woke up immediately and there that poor guy is. Turns out he had a tick embedded right under his man sack. Oh, that he'd felt well in the shower but couldn't see or handle. Oh no, that poor guy. I did my best to handle it quick and easy like it was no big deal, so I didn't add anything to the stress and embarrassment. Fast forward a couple of years, I'm in a hospital post-surgery and he hates anything medical and worries so much about me. Sits there entirely nonchalant and holds my hand while they do what they need to do post-surgery. It was so hard on him, but we talked and cracked jokes until I was able to go home. Aww. I take an I just know. Seeing how they respond when shit gets real. I was attacked and out of work, recovering for about a month, and my BF didn't even blink about my lack of income. He just says, it essentially your new birthday. We'll have whatever you want to order for dinner all month. He was there through my panic attacks, my crying spells, my lawyer appointments, signing up for therapy, everything. To see how much someone will stand by you and love you when you're at your worst is pretty incredible. I second that. Another one to me is learning new ways to communicate. My partner has been sick and he lost his voice. I know sign language and taught him the hand sign for I love you. He never knew it was I love you till I taught him. Now he can talk a bit better. He verbally says I love you, but also he'll say, babe, look, and he'll flash these signs to me and smile. It's only been about a week and a half that I showed him that, but he uses it as well as says it, and I think it's amazing. I also taught him how to sign more kisses, laugh out loud, because he loves when I give him kisses on his face. So when he was at the beginning of being sick, he'd sign more kisses, more kisses. It's little things that aren't sexual that makes a relationship feel so close and intimate. I could ramble on for hours and hours, pages upon pages, about how wonderful this man is. And I have to agree, like that, the one thing I miss the most about being in a relationship is having that intimacy and having that, you know, you have relationships with so many other people. Like I have my relationship with my kids, I have my relationship with my mom, my best friend, her husband, etc. But there's something about a relationship with, you know, a partner. Like there's an intimacy, and it's not necessarily sexual. There is an intimacy of being in a relationship that only you guys have. You know, no one else can have it, no one else shares it, and it's that I think I miss the most. Like sex, whatever. You know, it's the intimacy I miss the most when I was in a relationship. So now that I got us feeling all single as F, unless you are in a relationship, and then good for you. No hate or anything. I am going to throw in some comedy. Okay, so this one, it says best friend ever ? Not a weird insult. If you were the opposite sex for one day, what would you do? Ask Atheist Republic. Okay. I'll F my friend. Because if I won't do that, he'll definitely die a virgin. What? Question. Would you guys go that far to make sure your friend doesn't die a virgin? Like, what? What? Okay, this right here. I'll highlight it. I'd cream in a cup, and once I transitioned it back, I would then get myself pregnant with myself. Well, shit, your offspring will rule all of Europe. That's some next level inbreeding. Folks would be proud. What did I just read?
I do not wish to be strong like handsome man. I wish to be strong like bear in forest who keeps getting attacked by really hot muscular chicks.
So this I found at my acupuncture office. These are just some cute pictures and a quote that she has in the room, and I thought I'd share it because they were just adorable.
Listen, did you know that there's a town in Texas called Ding Dong?
I see your ding dong, and I raise you Intercourse, Pennsylvania.
I see your Intercourse, Pennsylvania, and I raise you Spread Eagle, Wisconsin.
I see your Spread Eagle, Wisconsin, and I raise you Three-Way, Arizona.
I see your Three-Way, Arizona, but I raise you Ball Play, Alabama.
I see your Ball Play, Alabama, and I raise you Cumming, Georgia.
I see your Cumming, Georgia, and I raise you Mud Butt, South Dakota. Sure, it's pronounced Butte, but no one reads it that way.
I see your mud butt, South Dakota, but I raise you Ume Ume Lehe Lehe Point, Hawaii, located on the island of Molokai. Now, what does Ume Ume Lehe Lehe mean? Well, using the sourceful book, I will tell you. It means lips or labia of vagina pulling back and forth.
Okay, so I'm sure we've all been here where you are at a job, do all this stuff, and then suddenly you are fired for no apparent reason, right? Because for some reason, especially here in America, they'll just fire you all willy-nilly, no explanation, just be gone. I hate it. Always gives me anxiety. Whenever I see my boss or my supervisor come talk to us at night, I am always expected to either get yelled at or fired or both. You know, why, like that? I think for me, one of the hardest things when I got out of my abusive relationship and I was healing from it, and, you know, when I looked into dark psychology and stuff and started reading on psychology and therapy and doing my therapy, and you're sitting there setting up boundaries, and one of the promises I had made myself was I was never going to allow myself to be in an abusive relationship. But our society makes us be in an abusive relationship all the time, i.e. your job. And I think one of the things I really loved about quarantine was a lot of people started opening their eyes to something I had already opened my eyes to years ago, about how abusive our relationships are with our jobs. And people were starting to take their powers back. But just like an abusive relationship is, now they're complaining that they're not getting to control you, right? It's an endless cycle of abuse. And that was one of the things that I just hate in our society, that I have to work in this very abusive relationship that I don't want to be in, but I'm in. So anyway, so I thought this story would be one of those nice little sticking it to the man, for example. This was posted on antiwork Reddit. My old boss who fired me just begged me to come back. I was typing out a long story about how my old boss screwed me over by firing me without any heads up, despite knowing for weeks he'd let me go when he did. But long story short, I got a call this morning from him asking if I could come in and work just this week, Christmas week. Since they fired too many people and nobody left wanted to work Christmas Eve. I told him I already gotten another job, which is true, but I don't start until January, and hung up. I'm still pissed off, but that made up for it just a little bit. Until I do this. I got laid off a few weeks ago. Almost 6 months later, they realized that shit wasn't working as they expected. They called me up demanding that I fix things so they work as when I left. Laugh out loud. B word. You guys laid me off, then replaced me with a potato. I don't owe you that, potato. Potato. I offered to come back for $200 an hour, minimum of a full day, 8 hours. Somehow they got that approved and I accepted. Turns out that the potato they hired had literally just been modifying a bunch of code, and Pod accidentally fudged up a bunch of stuff and they had no way of going back. Ended up taking a full week off of my current job fixing the issue and taking in a full week at the rate. Worked great for me. At first tried to renegotiate the rate after I started working, but I had it in writing and got change orders signed along the way. F these people, but if the price is right, be open to heading back for a short bit.
Hey,
What in the fuck are you doing? Get out of there. Oh.
Well, there is the video, my sweeties. I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday and Happy New Year's to you guys. I am off to go celebrate my son's birthday and enjoy this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, love you. Really? As always, thank you to all of these awesome creators who came up with these Reddit posts and these videos, etc. that I have come across online. So thank you to all these people and anyone who I missed. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Hey guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more content and to help with the algorithm. Also, don't forget to comment your own personal experiences and stories, and if you have any ideas for future videos, you can always reach out to me here on my DMs and my social media accounts or my email. I also do a lot of my updates for my channels on those accounts too, so you can always know what I am up to.